What modern car features and trends can quietly burn through your wallet? That's exactly what we're going to explore today. In this video, we're going to share 5 features and common trends found in new cars today. Things that have been causing countless car owners trouble. From major failures, long-lasting headaches, to repair bills that skyrocket unexpectedly. Let's get started. If there's one feature that drives people crazy, it's the tech trend the auto industry is trying to shove into every new car, controlling everything through a touch screen. In the showroom, it sounds modern, luxurious, futuristic. But in real-world American driving, where people are going 70 mph on the highway, avoiding trucks, dealing with snowstorms, and navigating endless traffic, this might not be the best idea. And the funniest part? Car companies aren't doing it to give you a better experience. They're doing it because screens are way cheaper than real physical buttons. Just throw a tablet in the center of the dash, update the interface with a few lines of code, and suddenly they're tech-forward while saving a ton on design costs. But for Americans, especially those who live by the philosophy, "it just works," these touchscreens bring more frustration than convenience. The first problem: multi-step operations make driving more dangerous. Imagine you're going 70 mph on I-95 in the winter, and you need to turn on the defrost. With physical buttons, you just reach out and press it by feel. But with a touchscreen? Now you have to look down, tap through menus, swipe through tabs, and during that time, you're basically flying blind for a few hundred feet. That alone is enough to make many American drivers see touchscreen-only systems as a not-so-funny joke. Not to mention that tons of essential functions, AC, airflow direction, heated seats, volume, even hazard lights, are buried deep in the interface. Something as simple as changing the fan speed becomes a high-tech mission, requiring the same focus as setting up a SpaceX launch trajectory. And of course, the more steps required, the more seconds your eyes leave the road, increasing the risk of accidents. No wonder some U.S. states have begun discussing restrictions on using screens for essential controls. The second problem: the screen can crash, freeze, or lag right when you need it most. This is another daily frustration for American drivers. The screen might go pitch black right after startup, or lag so badly that you can't turn on the AC, or the backup camera disappears in the middle of parking at a crowded Walmart lot. Worse, the system might keep rebooting while you're driving. One small glitch can make the entire control system collapse like dominoes, and when the screen goes dead temporarily, the car becomes almost useless. You can't adjust the temperature. You can't turn on defrost in the snow. You can't use the camera. You can't activate safety settings. A $40,000 car suddenly feels like a powerless brick. The third problem: when it breaks, it can't be repaired, only replaced. If there's one thing American mechanics complain about the most, it's touchscreen failures. They can rebuild engines, tear down transmissions, fix brakes, run wiring, but when it comes to the touchscreen, the answer is almost always, it can't be repaired. You have to replace the entire head unit. And then the owner has to go to the dealership, where they'll charge high diagnostic fees, reflash software for hours, or worse, make you wait weeks for parts. During that time, the car is nearly unusable. There's no temporary fix, you just wait and pay. And of course, replacing the main control module of the entire car is never cheap. For regular cars, the cost can range from $1,200 to $4,000. For luxury models, $5,000, $10,000 is normal. Some brands even charge subscription fees for software updates or lock features behind a paywall. Not surprisingly, cars with a history of screen issues are extremely hard to sell because many people are allergic to features that break easily and cost a fortune to fix. Touchscreens aren't the villain, but when they replace physical buttons entirely, those simple, intuitive, fast, and safe controls, they can become a disaster. They make drivers distracted, make mechanics helpless, send repair costs through the roof, and leave countless American drivers sighing every morning they get into their cars. So for anyone planning to buy a car, new or used, we recommend choosing models that still offer physical buttons for essential functions like AC, fan speed, defrost, volume, hazard lights, or camera views. And one more small piece of advice: avoid first-year models, cars with overly complex interfaces, or vehicles that rely completely on screens for basic controls. It will save you from the headaches later on. For those living in the Midwest or Northeast, potholes are probably an everyday sight. And those small obstacles on the road are the mortal enemy of 1922-inch wheels. The fact that automakers keep stuffing these giant rims with thin, low-profile tires into every SUV and then advertising them as sporty and premium is honestly hilarious. Hilarious in the kind of way that makes you cry. Because the one laughing is the manufacturer, and the one crying is your Visa card. So why do these oversized wheels show up everywhere? The answer lies in the showroom, where every car looks unrealistically shiny. The bigger the wheels, the more expensive and aggressive the car looks, making it easier to sell to anyone who thinks that sporty driving feel will follow them from the showroom into real life. But the roads outside look nothing like a showroom floor, and that becomes a huge problem for buyers later on. When the tire sidewall is too thin, there's nothing left to absorb impact. A small hit from a pothole is enough to send the entire force straight into the shocks, control arms, bushings, and then into your wallet. These impacts repeat through several winters, and suddenly your suspension wears out faster than you can fill up a truck gas tank. The bigger and heavier the SUV, the faster the damage. On top of that, the larger the rim, the thinner the edge. And in the US, just hit a slightly deep pothole, and you'll instantly hear that pop of destiny. A light bend causes vibrations. A heavy bend needs replacement. A crack? Don't even ask. No fixing. Replace only. And German rims. Well, let's not even read the prices unless you want heart palpitations. Not to mention the wheel wells get squeezed in a ridiculous way. Full load, rubbing, sharp turns, rubbing again. Rub long enough and you'll tear the fender liner. Another bill. And the bigger the wheel, the higher the chance the manufacturer deletes the spare tire space altogether. An electronic tire repair kit is basically useless, especially in a country where you might drive 200 miles just to leave one state. We've heard this story many times. Someone gets a blowout on I-80, no spare, gets towed to the nearest town, and loses a few $100s, all for something that could have been avoided. Then there's alignment. With thin tires, being off by just 1 to 2 mm is enough to wear down the tire edges so fast you'd swear the tire shop is scamming you. At around 20,000 miles, many performance tires are already bald. And of course, all of this leads back to one thing: money. Tires for 20 to 22-inch wheels are always more expensive, double or triple the price of 17 to 18-inch tires. One tire replacement cycle for an SUV can easily cost $1,500 to $2,000. Replace a rim? $400 to $1,500. Add that up over a few years, and you'll see that premium look was basically a long-term loan you never agreed to sign. If you want our advice, just go. Back to 17 to 18-inch wheels, where the sidewall is thick enough to absorb potholes, alignment holds better, suspension lasts longer, costs are lower, and the real-world driving experience is simply more pleasant. Panoramic sunroofs sound luxury, beautiful, and super premium. In the showroom, with all that natural light flooding in, and the giant glass roof making the cabin feel twice as big, it truly feels impressive. And that's exactly the moment automakers want you to experience, the first impression. The impression after a few years of use? Oh, hello leak, jam, mold, exploding glass, a full collection of nightmares that American mechanics have warned about for a decade, but buyers still sign the paperwork like they've never heard a thing. The truth is, panoramic sunroofs are popular not because they're durable or smart. They're popular because they sell. In the showroom, they make the car brighter, roomier, and more expensive looking. Americans love open spaces, natural light, and the feeling that the cabin looks like a living room. Automakers know this too well, so they pack panoramic roofs into luxury, premium, or tech packages, and you happily pay several $1,000s. As for living with leaks, cracks, and jammed tracks later, that's the part the showroom never mentions. What really drives American mechanics crazy is that a panoramic sunroof contains so many things that can break. The glass is huge but must be thin to reduce weight. Then it has to endure weather like Alaska in the morning, Mojave Desert in the afternoon. The result can be thermal shock, and sometimes the infamous scenario, Exploding glass. NHTSA has recorded countless cases of sunroofs spontaneously exploding, with shards raining down like a lethal confetti cannon. And the opening mechanism? 3 motors, multiple sliding rails, and tons of plastic components. Just one grain of sand or a few autumn leaves getting in there can jam the rails. Overworked motors might burn out, plastic gears might snap, and at that point, the mechanic has to remove the entire headliner, a job that's time-consuming, labor-intensive, and expensive for your wallet. Rubber seals are extremely sensitive to American weather. Under UV sunlight, winter road salt, and extreme temperature swings, the seals shrink, gaps open, and water begins to seep into the cabin. Owners might think, it's just a little leak, I'll wipe it, but the water thinks, let me go destroy the airbag sensor, electrical module, and the whole A-pillar. Not to mention the drainage system, just one of the 4 drain tubes gets clogged, and water floods inside, soaks the headliner, runs down the pillars, and hits the electronics under the floor. Mold, moisture smell, dead sensors, burnt modules, these are the types of failures that make mechanics want to go home early. And if you're driving an EV with a giant fixed glass roof, our condolences. The cabin heats up like a sauna, the AC works twice as hard, the battery drains faster, and the giant glass panel experiences thermal stress. Then comes the painful part, the cost. Replacing a panoramic roof? $2,000, $6,000. German cars, or EVs, nearly $7,000, not including module reprogramming. Fixing a sunroof motor? $400, $1,000 each. Replacing rails and gears? Labor is more than the parts. Water damage cleanup? New headliner, new sensors, new modules, several $1,000s gone in a blink. Not to mention the musty smell can linger forever, reducing resale value by another $1,000 to $2,000. Just hearing this is enough to make anyone nervous. If you really enjoy natural light, choose a traditional small sunroof. Simpler, less prone to failure, and easier to repair. Always check and clear the drainage regularly. And avoid brand new models with oversized panoramic roofs. The first generation is always the test subject. If you live in California, Texas, or Arizona, skip the full glass roof entirely unless you want your cabin to feel like a slow cooker. When it comes to fuel-saving technologies, automakers always know how to turn them into smooth-sounding stories. They call them advancements, the future, something that helps you go farther on the same amount of fuel. However, the truth is that all these technologies only save somewhere around 1-3 mpg. And the price you pay for gaining those few mpg is not small at all. It comes in the form of premature starter failure, carbon-clogged engines, burnt turbos, dying transmissions, and of course, those $4,000, $5,000 repair bills that show up right when the warranty expires. Let's start with Auto Start Stop, the technology advertised as simple and smart. Simple? Definitely not. Every time you stop at a red light, the car shuts off. You release the brake, the engine kicks back on. Sounds convenient, but the starter motor now has to work several times more than it was originally designed for. Engine mounts are constantly hammered by the repeated restart jolts. The oil hasn't even fully warmed up before it cools again, then heats up again, every few seconds. And when you end up paying $600, $700 for the special starter, a few hundred more for engine mounts, plus an AGM battery that costs as much as rent, you'll start to understand what getting tricked in the name of fuel economy feels like. Then we have DI-only engines, direct injection only. On paper, it sounds highly efficient, but in reality, it's the perfect recipe for carbon buildup that forms as fast as you can open a new Amazon tab. With the back of the valves not being washed by fuel, carbon builds up thick, and many cars start choking at just 30,000, 60,000 miles. The engine shakes, loses power, and misfires constantly, and you'll have to spend over $1,000 just to clean the carbon with walnut blasting. Cylinder deactivation is even worse. The idea sounds good. Shut off some cylinders under light load to reduce fuel consumption. But mechanics know all too well. Any vehicle with AFM MDS is basically a ticking time bomb. Collapsed lifters, camshafts getting chewed up, metal shavings circulating through the engine, all leading to a full engine rebuild that can cost up to $8,000. Paying $8,000 to save half a gallon of fuel? That doesn't sound reasonable at all. Tiny turbo engines aren't much better. Automakers want good MPG, so they install 1.0, 1.3L engines and expect them to pull an SUV as heavy as a giant refrigerator. The result? The turbo is always working at max, the engine runs blazing hot, and the oil degrades so quickly it turns black right after you change it. And when the turbo fails, and it will, you can say goodbye to $2,000, $3,500. And finally, CVTs and DCTs, the two transmissions marketed as cutting-edge technology, but in the eyes of mechanics, they're basically nope boxes. CVTs overheat on the highway, slip belts, go into limp mode, and make you swear never to buy one again. DCTs jerk at low speeds. The clutch overheats and the shift motors fail. Worst part? When they fail, nobody fixes them. Dealerships simply say, replace the whole thing, and you'll pay anywhere from $4,000 to $8,000. As you can see, almost everything that fails will cost you thousands of dollars. So modern fuel-saving tech may not be the ideal solution after all. We know that for many American consumers, a reliable car with minimal issues and reasonable maintenance costs is the true ideal. That's why we recommend choosing engines with both DI plus port injection, avoiding AFM/MDS, prioritizing naturally aspirated engines or larger, less stressed turbos, and especially avoiding CVTs if you drive on the highway often. And of course, change your oil on time. The only thing on this list that truly saves money in the long run. In this final section, we reach the topic that makes most Americans furious whenever new cars are discussed: features locked behind paywalls. This isn't some minor issue like the manufacturer increased the price by a few bucks. This is one of the trends that makes car owners feel like tenants in the very vehicles they paid $40K, $50K, or even $60K to own. It's no surprise that whenever this topic pops up on Reddit or YouTube, Americans react with pure disbelief. Why does this even exist? They buy a car with all the hardware built in: heated seats, remote start, navigation, even digital keys. But then they discover that those features are locked. Everything works perfectly if they pay extra every month. If not, the hardware sits there, shiny, silent, and completely useless. But the anger doesn't come only from being charged twice. It comes from the feeling that the driving experience has become fragile, complicated, and overly dependent on software. In the past, when something stopped working, it was usually due to mechanical failure. Now, if a manufacturer's server glitches, people wake up to find remote start disabled, navigation gone, or the digital key not recognizing the car. A failed update can make the screen go black, the backup camera disappear, or the ADS system throw errors even though the hardware is fine. And if the update fails badly enough, the car may not even start. And with these software-locked issues, independent mechanics can't help. When a feature is locked by software, they can't unlock it. When the cloud service has problems, they can't bypass it. When the module is encrypted, they can't diagnose it. Everything has to go to the dealership, where everything takes longer, costs more, and often has weeks-long backlogs. Many experts now advise consumers to avoid brand-new models in their first year, because that's when the most software bugs appear. They also recommend choosing brands known for stable software and fewer subscriptions. The usual names like Toyota, Honda, and Lexus. And if you can choose trims with offline navigation, key fob, remote start, or heated seats that don't depend on an app, they strongly recommend doing so. Looking back at all these features, it's not hard to understand why many mechanics say they see these exact problems over and over again every single day in the shop. Many of these issues don't come from reckless driving or poor maintenance, but from designs that sound modern yet turn into hassles, extra repair bills, and unwanted trips back to the garage once they hit real-world use. And if you've ever dealt with inconveniences or headaches from the moment your car started behaving like a glitchy smartphone, feel free to share your story in the comments. Other viewers, and even mechanics, need to hear it. Lastly, please note that everything in this video is drawn from publicly available sources, manufacturer manuals, and reputable automotive research. The information shared here is meant purely for education and general reference, not to promote or criticize any specific brand or product. Always double-check details, follow your manufacturer's guidelines, and make the maintenance decisions that work best for your own vehicle. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.